Hi, welcome to Release Your Wings. I'm Keith Woods of the Poynter Institute, and I'm here with Shireen Chada, Director of the Tampa Brahma Kumaris. We've been talking about the powers we possess. We've gone through 7 different conversations about this, and we come today to the power to cooperate. Now, of all of the powers that we've talked about, there seems to be some inherent conflict, some inherent challenge, friction with a power. And yet, when we get to the power to cooperate, it seems, first of all, not to have a whole lot of friction attached to it, and secondly, to be pretty much what you learn when you're in kindergarten. Why is this so important in the string of powers that it has its own conversation?
You know, when you talk about kindergarten, I remember this book, All You Need to Know You Learned in Kindergarten. Well, maybe the power to cooperate is one of those so important powers that you had to start learning from kindergarten. And you actually, of course, refine it along the way. But one of the things about the power to cooperate is the nature of the power itself. There is 2 aspects of the power. Even in the definition of the power, there are 2 aspects of the definition of the power. One is being a student, or one is that you learn, and the other is being a server. And so the power to cooperate is when you use your resources to help other people, but also on the other hand, you use other people's specialities and powers and their virtues and their talents, and you learn from them. And so it's both of those things. And so this is a power which actually is about lifelong learning and lifelong serving. And so it is something that you would need to learn from kindergarten onwards, but it is something that you have to keep at it.
Or, what's the consequence for stopping? What's the consequence for not mastering this one?
The consequence actually is not about the way I look at it is that life is very interdependent. We are interdependent on each other. And so to be able to prosper together, that we have to cooperate together. And so I guess the flip side of not cooperating is that you don't grow together, that we don't grow as a community, as a species. We don't grow together.
Well, we've seen over time in education, in a lot of ways, a shift. I think that it would be safe to say that when I was a child, maybe when you were a child, you learned to be the one. You were in a race, there was only one winner. You were seeking to be the head of the class. Everything was about the individual, everything was about individual achievement. It played out in the workplace in the same way. And it seems to be now a greater emphasis on teams and teamwork, attempting to shift that culture. Do you think that then that the first way that we learned was wrong? Individual achievement?
Not necessarily that it was wrong, but it was more, I feel that you need to integrate both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think that there is a lot of motivation that we get when we really excel on our own. And there's a lot of motivation we get from being part of a team and doing a task, having a purpose together. And so I think both are very necessary. I think maybe in the initial case that there was an emphasis on only the first part, but now that people are seeing that both are necessary and they're integrating both.
And the stakes, as you identified them a minute ago, had to do much more with the collective good.
Right.
How do you argue for the individual benefit when we're talking about a collective good?
I think that without individual benefit, that there is no collective good. This whole archetype of being a martyr so everyone else can benefit, I think is a really outdated archetype. I don't think that's possible. Only when you have individual benefit will you really feel the need to even cooperate. That you'll have the motivation to cooperate, otherwise why will you? It's not something that you will think about actually.
Well, so maybe if I were to go back to another conversation, another power, one, in this case, the power to discern. How do you figure out when it's time, when this is the moment to shift from the individual to the collective? This is a time to cooperate. This is a time to look for somebody else to work with, rather than working on my own. How do you figure that out?
You know, it's an interesting question because, excuse me, that's the question I've been thinking about the whole day. Is we need to agree on a common purpose, on a common principle, on shared values for a common task. And so the friction, I think, with the power to cooperate and how even the decision on when to cooperate happens is the task that you are cooperating with actually has the values you have, has the purpose you have. And so if it doesn't, then it's not of any benefit to you, but there has to be some vested interest for you because it has to do something for you in that particular task or that particular thing. For example, in a workspace, it has something for you. That's why you're willing to cooperate, you're willing to work together, but if it's not, then it's not going to work.
But aren't there times when you might not be able to see the immediate benefit? I mean, in a workplace, I've got a job. There's a task that has to get done. If two of us work on it, it may get done twice as fast. Maybe it'll take twice as long. Who knows? But the reasoning here is that the more people help, the greater the chance that it'll get done faster. There, I can see it. I can see the benefit. But aren't there a lot of times when you can't tell, and yet the act of cooperative work would ultimately benefit you?
Yeah, actually, they are. I mean, there are many subtle things that you're not able to tell, and I really feel that cooperation actually can happen on a physical level. You're actually cooperating with a task. You're actually physically doing something there, giving you physical resources there, whether it is your, your presence there or your money there or whatever, it's physical resources there. But there are other aspects of cooperation which actually are more subtle. That would be your attitude, your thoughts, your feelings, your vision for someone. And so that actually is even more intangible than the first physical one. But I feel that the way I would know that if I am benefiting from cooperating is that I'll feel good about it, that I will really feel that this is something that is beneficial for everyone, that there is a vision that is a longer vision that needs to be addressed, that needs to be looked at, and that I'm not going to just look at the pitfalls or the little things that are going on right now, but I have my whole focus on this vision outside.